Saint-Etienne were once one of the most well-known football clubs in France. They have won an impressive haul of trophies, with most of the club's successes coming in the 1960s and the 1970s. They have won 10 Ligue 1 titles along with 6 Coupe de France titles. Their closest rivals are Lyon, and their nickname is Les Verts, or the Greens. In real life though, Saint-Etienne are going through a difficult period. The club was flirting with relegation for a number of seasons, but finally fell at the end of the 21-22 season. Can we stop that from happening in Football Manager 2022? Let's find out as we rebuild Saint-Etienne. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am frankly Fm84. Thank you for coming back and joining me on another video right here on the YouTube channel. So, as you might have seen from the thumbnail and from the little introduction that you've just seen before me, we today are going to be back with another rebuild challenge. Today's team are a French team who have just hovered with relegation for the past few years. They were once a French powerhouse in the 60s and 70s and have 10 league titles to their name. Their fall from grace though has been quite hard, and in real life in the 21-22 season they finally succumb to the invulnerability that they have at the moment, and they got relegated into Ligue 2. So our job is to stop that from happening. We are going to give ourselves 4 seasons to get them out of trouble and get them firing once again. See if we can get them back to the top of French football. It's going to be difficult. This is going to be a really tough challenge, but it's one that I think we are up to. So let's jump into the game and show you exactly what we are up against. So, as ever, we will start off on the club info page, a little introduction to the club. Founded in 1919, so a proud heritage behind them. They're a 3.5-star reputation team with secure finances. Their media prediction is 10th, so even though they have been hovering with relegation, they actually were deemed to be a mid-table team at the start of the season. Looking at their training facilities, they have 4-star training facilities, 3.5-star youth facilities, 2.5-star junior coaching, and a 2.5-star youth recruitment. Looking at their most valuable players and their key players, so Madi Kamara is their captain at the age of 23, so quite a tender age to be a captain, but they obviously feel up to it. No current appointed vice captain. Paul Bernardoni is one of their key players, 24-year-old goalkeeper, and then Ayman Moufek at the age of 20 is their top prospect. He's a midfielder centre, so a good blend of youth in there, isn't there? So they've got a young captain, a young key player, and a young top prospect. So the future seems quite bright. For whatever reason, though, they cannot get it together at the moment in Ligue 1. So let's have a little look then at the trophies won, show you this history we were talking about. So they have 10 league titles to their name, the last of these coming in 1981. So a very long wait for them to get anywhere near the top of Ligue 1 once again. But they did have 10 titles, as we said, so from the 50s all the way through the 60s. I mean, look at that, 67, 68, 69, 70. So 4 years back-to-backs. Then 74, 75, 76, so 3 years back-to-backs, and then 1981. They have those 6 Coupe de France's. Again, all their success coming in between the 60s and the 70s. They've been relegated recently, so back into the top flight in 2004 was the last time that they won Ligue 2, and 1999 also, with 1963 the other one. One Coupe de Ligue in 2013, one French Division 2A, 5 French Champions Challenges, 1 Championnat des 17-11, 1 French Under-18 League, and 2 Charles Drago Cups. So they have a decent enough trophy haul from their history. They are a team with a proud heritage in the footballing world. They just seem to have lost their way a little bit in the current climate with everything going on with PSG. Lyon have obviously overtaken them. Monaco also are there also. So, as ever, let's start off with the club vision. Let's show you what they want us to achieve. So they want us to develop players using the club's youth system. You'll see the reason for that in a minute. There is not a great deal of money around the club. In real life, they had some financial difficulties coming out of the 80s. It kind of continued in the 90s. Hence the reason they haven't been at the top of French football for a long time. They even had a spell a couple of years ago where their manager wasn't qualified to do the job, and they were having to pay €25,000, I think it was at the time, just to have him as a manager. So it kind of was hitting them in the pocket just to have a manager appointed who wasn't qualified. They want us to work within the wage budget. We do that as always. Then for the current season, so they want to finish in the top half of the table. So the media prediction says 10th. I think this is achievable. Obviously, in real life, they did get relegated, so I'm not 100% sure what state the squad is actually in. As we saw from the club info page, they have quite a lot of young players here, but they do have a good blend of experience too. So I'm hoping that we are going to have some players to work with and maybe even some to move on, as we don't have any money. Going forwards, they want us to work towards qualifying for the Europa League, and that seems to be everything that they want through the 5-year plan at the initial stage of taking over. All of that, I think, is quite sound. It's quite reasonable. They are being quite optimistic, I think, with the Europa League qualification, but then top half of the table is a realistic look at what they want and what they feel is achievable in the first season. I think we can go better than that, though. So the finances that are involved in this rebuild, they have 20 million in the bank. And as I said, I think it's been built into the club through the years. Financial shrewdness comes as standard, because they give us no transfer budget to start this one off. This is going to be difficult from the get-go. It means we either start turfing players out, or we try and find those hidden gems in terms of free transfers. I think we're probably going to try and restrict the amount of signings that we have in the first season. As always with these challenges, the first window, the transfers are turned off, so there is no business we will do until January at the least anyway. But I got a feeling this might be a bit difficult to start generating funds to get players in, and I think we're going to have to perform on the pitch to enable to get us the funds that we need to improve the squad. So it might be a difficult first season, but I think we'll start flying after that. In terms of a wage budget, 390,000, and we are spending every single penny of it. So quite decent in the way that they are set up. The club is there. They obviously have themselves a structure in place due to the past, and they are going to try and stick to that structure as much as they can. If we go to the squad finally and look at the assistant report, we are setting up again with this 4-3-3 or 4-5-1, however you want to view it, with the inside forwards, the false 9, which actually is converted into an attacking or advanced forward later on in the save as we buy players. So the lineup that they think we should be putting out at the start of the game is Bernardoni in goal, Troko, Gnanon, Makudi and Sacco at the back, Mufek, Nayu and Kamara, Kazri and Hamuma, with Crivelli up front. So in terms of a starting 11, you can see there are some decent 4-star players. You've got Bernardoni in goal, Kazri wide left, he's a well-known player, and you've got the 3 stars. So I think that the first port of call is going to be to build on those defenders, maybe bulk up the midfield and try and get some better options there, and then I think a forward and some wide players. So everything in the first season is going to be difficult, so I'm not 100% sure what we can do transfer-wise, but I think starting at the back and building forward is probably the way to go. So that's a little brief introduction to the club. We are looking to achieve as much as we can in the 4 seasons that we have. So let's jump into season 1 and see what we can do and if we can achieve anything in the short term. Here we go then. We have jumped to the end of the first season. So that means the date is the 1st of June 2022. And as always with these rebuilds, we are going to start off showing you the transfers and any business that we have managed to do both out and in, before we have a little look at the competitions and show you how we've got on in the first season and then what we're looking to do in season 2. So let's jump into these transfers then. You can see that there was quite a lot of business done by the club before we got there, so we were only allowed to sign players from that 1st January transfer window. So anything before January was not us, but when we started moving, we actually started to do things quite quickly. So the first player to go out was Joris Ganon. He went to Cadiz for £500,000. Riyad Boudabous left the club for £550,000, and Wabi Kazri went for 1.3 million to Dinamo Moscow. So 3 players who pretty much straight away were generating interest. I thought we have 0 in the bank for transfers. Let's try and generate at least a little bit of cash to get ourselves off the ground. And then when we started spending the money, the first player we went and bought was Rodrigo Ribeiro. He is a young Portuguese striker, 17 years old. A lot of development in him and a lot of developing to do, but he's one that we have bought in, maybe not for the here and now, but definitely for a few seasons into the future. Already gone from a player who was £2 million to a player who's valued at the upper end of £7 million, so a player that we are going to be looking to build around. The next one was Diogo Nascimento, another Portuguese player. We have gone and raided the Portuguese leagues. Number one, because they're cheap, and number two, because they are decent players for what we actually needed. So, as you saw, Kazri had left the club, which meant that Nascimento came in as a bit of a replacement for him. Leslie Ugochukwu, he is a £2.8 million signing from Rennes, a French player who comes in, has all the attributes that you look for in a midfielder, with tackling, passing, good strength, good stamina. Maybe not the finished article at 18 years old, another one that we are going to look to develop because, as I said, this first season really was difficult to get the players in. But if we start to get those, like, not wonder kids, but the players who you can build around, then obviously the other parts of the jigsaw hopefully will fall into place later. So he has come in as well. And then the last one, we went to Brazil and we got Renia. He is a quick, pacey winger who can cut in from the right-hand side, can also play up front if need be. Didn't get too much first team action because he wanted to go out on loan. So after he'd been in for a little while, we ended up loaning him to Andrezu Abuthion FC. And he had a decent season there, 7.16 average rating. And I think, again, he's another player to build around. So first season couldn't do quite as much as what we would have wanted. But again, as I said, it is about building blocks, putting the right players in place at the start of the game, and then hopefully building the team around them. So let's have a look. Did anything that we do have an impact on the season? We can show you the competitions tab, and you can see that we managed to finish third place in the table. We were miles behind PSG, 25 points behind PSG, but we do have our first trophy on the board in the rebuild, and that is the Coupe de France. Let's have a little look at that. We won that by beating Monaco in the final 1-0. So we have lift off in terms of being a success. Let's show you a little bit of what happened in the league. If we go to the league table, yeah, you can see we finished 25 points behind PSG, and in the first season, PSG are going to wipe anybody out. They had an invincible season to start off. I don't know how you're supposed to try and fight against that. They had a goal difference of 79. We had a goal difference of 40, and our win-loss record was 23 won, 6 drawn, 9 losses, and we got 75 points. So a good start to the season, considering we were supposed to be finishing in 10th, and in real life, the club actually got relegated. So it's big progress on the pitch there. Looking at the player stats, you can see we didn't have anything in the goals category, nothing in the average ratings, but we did have most assists, with Gabriel Silva getting a total of 16 assists. We also had Paul Bernardoni getting 13 clean sheets too. There was a lot of action in terms of players leaving the club, some free transfers and contracts expiring, so there's room for growth there. One other thing to show you, if we go to Club Vision, you can see that in terms of the Club Vision, we are still being, they're reserving their judgment in terms of developing players for the club's youth system. We have quite a lot of players that have come from the Dev Centre. We put them in. I'm not too sure how much first team games they're going to get. Hopefully we can develop some, maybe even if it's just to sell them on and get a bit of a profit, which I think is what that objective is for. And they wanted us to sign players under the age of 23 for the first team, so I think that we had achieved that too. They want us to work within the wage budget, minimum 3-year contracts for first team players, and then next season, top half finish again. And as we've qualified for the Champions League, they now want us to reach the playoff as a minimum. And then, unfortunately for us, transfer embargo might be incoming as the board are looking to sell the club. Hopefully we get our contract renewed before then and don't end up with the sack. But yes, as of the 23-24 season, the owners are looking to sell up and move on. So not too sure what is going to happen long term with the club. In the finances tab then, we have £40 million in the bank now, and due to our exploits in Ligue 1, finishing in third place, we now have a transfer budget of £17.25 million. It's a good, solid amount of money to go out and work with, try and work some magic in terms of maybe getting some younger kids in and some wonder kids maybe. try and get a few experienced heads in too, because we've got quite a big youth development going on in terms of the dev centre. So we have a good wage budget to go with that. 434,000 available. We are spending 289 with only 217,000 in committed spending for the next season. So we have now a building block to start going on and totally rebuilding this team, and hopefully start to challenge PSG and chip away at that 25-point gap. Let's have a little look at the squad then and the assistant report. You can see that the first team hasn't changed a lot. We now have Bernardoni in goal, Troko, So, Makudi and Sacco on the back four. Again, one change in there with So. Camera, Auchi, I'm going to say, Nayu, Buanga and Theob, and then Crivelli up top. If I'm butchering names, I do apologise. Leave any comments in the section down below for pronunciations of some of these names, because some of them are good, some of them are going to be bad. But some of these might not even be here at the end of season 2, and that is where we are going now. We are going to jump forwards to season 2 and see if we can progress the club. I feel there's building blocks being put in place. Can we continue the rebuild and make it a success? This then is the end of season 2. It's now the 1st of June 2023. We again are going to start off by running through the ins and outs. This is the big bulk of the changes I think that are going to happen this second season. When we finally got the money, we can start to shape the team how we want. We can move players on and use that money too. You can see that we ended up spending a total of £57 million. We only recouped 11.75 of that. So having to move people around and move numbers around to try and get all of this to work, but I think we are going to achieve what we are looking to. But first, let's show you the transfers that went out then. So Gabriel Silva went to Verona for £2.4 million. Zaidou Yusuf went to Norwich for £1.5 million. Mikhail Naidi went to FC Metz for £450,000. Dennis Buanga, went to Bournemouth for £2.4 million. And Ivan Nayu went to Tigres for £5 million. So that means we had a few gaps in the squad, and as I said, we were looking to try and get players who are now going to fit specific roles and just be upgrades in the team, starting at the back and moving our way forwards, hopefully. So the first player we went and signed was Wendell. He was another development project, really, £8,000 coming in from Brazil. One for the future more than anything. But the first major player we signed was Ander Kappa. He's a right back, can play anywhere up the right hand side of the field, and he's an upgrade on what we had at right back to begin with. Usama Amar, he is an attacking midfielder or just a midfielder centre. Again, 19 years old, probably a bit of a project for development in that one too. Then pair both coming in on free transfers, so nothing lost really. If we sell them on in the future, we are going to make a profit, so it's not too bad. Mergim Vojvoda, he is a 28-year-old Kosovan, plays at right back, can play at left back, can also play in the middle, so versatility was key there. I think for the price that we paid, he was probably a bit on the cheap side, and he's a quality player to get in and put in that back line. Fausto Vera was the next one through the doors, a £5 million Argentine, plays as a defensive midfielder or a midfielder, and he's a bit of an enforcer. I like the look of him, and for the money at £5 million, I think it was a bargain. Next one was Marcelo Pitaluga. We needed a backup goalkeeper, so we went out and bought Pitaluga from Liverpool. One for the future again. Andre Anderson was the next one to come in, £5.25 million from Lazio, another Brazilian. Again, he can play as a midfielder, he can play as an attacking midfielder, and I think he's one in the middle of the park who is a massive upgrade on what we already had at the club. And I think that in terms of going forwards, he will become a very, very good player at the club. Jean-Kevin Augustin, you can see him there proudly in a Monaco shirt. He was let go of. He was on a free transfer as well. We bought him in as cover as wide left and wide right. He has decent pace and acceleration. He also has good dribbling and finishing. So that one was a bit of a no-brainer. Then we started to crank it up as we were working our way towards the end of the first transfer window. So Courtney House coming next from Aston Villa, a solid centre-back. He's 6'2", 15 strength, good jumping reach, good tackling, everything that we need really in a centre-back, plus playing Premier League football no offence to the French leagues, it is a little bit of a step up. So I think that his experience will tell from being a Premier League player. We then went and got Tati Chong. He is Dutch, 23 years old. Everybody will probably remember him from his days at Manchester United. He also had a loan spell at Birmingham City. So a player that has a lot of raw ability and a lot of raw talent, but maybe hasn't used it in the right way. We've come along and picked him up, and I think this is an absolute steal. Straight away, his transfer value went up to 21 to 23 million pounds. He has 16 pace, 17 natural fitness, 17 acceleration, 16 dribbling. If only he could get the finishing up a little bit, I think he would be an absolute steal. Lucas Perrin was next, 165,000 from Marseille. Not really a first teamer, more of a rotation option. Bruno Wilson, the same, centre back. He's come in for 400,000. Did that say? 450,000. The next one was Nathaniel Mabuku. He's another young player, another player who can come in from either wing, play up top as a striker if we're absolutely desperate. Decent dribbling, pace and acceleration mean that if he gets game time, he'll probably cause some defences some trouble. Johnny Kenny's the next one, £6 million on this kid, and I will be perfectly honest, I had never heard of Johnny Kenny until this save. Something happened, popped up on a scout report, they went absolutely mental, told me to go sign him, and I thought, we've already got Ribeiro, do we really need him? Yes, we really did need him. Well, I mean, you can have a look at the stats here. I don't know if he had enough game time to be our top goal scorer for the season, but if we go to his history and go to his career stats, you can see that in his first season, played 8 games with 15 more from the bench, scoring 13 goals, got an average rating of 7.31, 21 and 11 in the league. I don't know where he came from or how we ended up finding him, but he was an absolute bargain at £6 million. The next one I'm going to butcher, Sebastian Walkovic. He's Polish, 7 caps for the national team, another 6'2", 15 strength, 14 jumping reach, 13 tackling. Popped up on a scouting report again. They said go buy him. We did exactly what they told us to do and didn't regret that. He cost £15 million, so he was quite a big outlay. And the last one to come in for the season was Mr. Eze from Crystal Palace, another one, Premier League player coming across to the French League. As soon as we saw the price of £15 million, we had to go and buy him, put him in as a star player. He's got pace, he's got acceleration, he's got dribbling, finishing. This kid is the real deal, and I think in real life he will only get better. And I think also in this save, for the money we have paid, he's an absolute steal. He will get a lot better, and I think we'll struggle to hold on to him throughout the entire 4 seasons. So lots of change in the transfers department. Does it translate into success on the pitch? Let's have a look at the competitions tab. So starting off with Ligue 1, you can see we have finished 3rd. We are only 20 points behind PSG this time. They have got an amazing 106 points. We'll get to that in just a second. Champions League, we were knocked out in the group stages, so at least we made it through the pathway to get into the group stage. We were knocked out in round 10 by Stade Malherbe Caen in the Coupe de France, and the Trophy de Champions, we finished runners-up. And I think, did we play PSG in that? We did play PSG, and we got a hammering 5-1. So let's jump into the Liga 1 Uber Eats then. You can see that we did close that gap marginally. It was 25 last season, it's 5 this season, and PSG have gone back-to-back invincible seasons. This is what you're up against when you come and manage in France. I know there's some jibes from people out there about it being a farmers' league, and PSG have ruined it with the money and everything, but my gosh, it translates across in the game. They are completely untouchable right at the start. Looking at the stats then for the players, nobody in the top goal scorers, nobody in the average ratings. In terms of assists, Tati Chung getting 13 is decent. He also had 10 Player of the Match awards, and Madi Camara was a naughty boy with 13 yellow cards. If we have a little look though at our own team and our own stats, so Chung was top goal scorer with 21. He had the highest average rating with 7.38. He had 14 assists. Best pass completion was Sebastian Welkovic. Chung, most Player of the Match awards. Palencia, most yellow cards. And there is a lot of people here with red cards, all the naughty boys on that list. So let's show you the club vision then. Are they happy with what we have done? 3rd place in the league means that, again, now we are pushing to establish ourselves as a top 4 team, but the board only see us as a top half team, which is good for us. It lowers the expectations. In terms of the club culture, develop players using the club's youth system, sign players under the age of 23, and play high tempo pressing football. So a lot of players in the first team from the youth setup, which is good. We just keep promoting them. They don't get a lot of game time, but it at least ticks that box. In terms of the 5-year plan going forwards, work within the wage budget, minimum 3-year contracts for the first team players. That is all sound. From the end of next season then, Ligue and top half finish, Champions League reach the group stages, and it seems now that the board have changed their mind. I think they're happy with what we're doing, and they have decided now that they want to keep the club. No longer is it up for sale. They want us to qualify for the Europa League, work towards qualifying for the Champions League, qualify for the Champions League, and then continue to qualify for the Champions League. So they've laid it out pretty bare what they want from us. I'm glad that we aren't going to go through that dreaded transfer embargo and switching of boards. In the finances department then, now there is £39 million in the bank. We have £22.4 million to go out and reinforce the team. I think we are going to be looking mainly at attacking players. We need a striker who can score goals, although Mr. Kenny coming in, I think, is a sound signing, so he will probably score goals. Probably need a little bit of reinforcement in behind him and Ribeiro. 22.4 million is a decent amount to go and spend. We have 668,000 in the wage budget and 618,000 of that spent, so 50,000 to play with to get players in as well. The last thing then to look at before we jump to season 3 is the assistant report to show you our best 11. So Etienne Green has now took over in goal. Palencia, House, Walkovic, I'm just going to go with Walkovic, Kappa, Kamara, Auchi, Anderson, Eze, Chong and Kenny are our best 11. So you can see that it's starting to build now. We have 4 stars on the left, 4 stars on the right, 3 stars up top. Andre Anderson coming in is a solid midfielder. We have now a solid centre-back and a solid right-back. Maybe 1 or 2 other places that we need to plug gaps. With that £22 million, I think we have enough in the bank to do it. So let's jump forwards to season 3 and show you how we get on in the rebuild of Saint-Etienne. Season 3 is now complete then, and we are back to look at what has happened in the 23-24 season. So as always, we'll start off with the transfers and show you the players that have come in and gone out. Starting on the right hand side of the screen, Lucas Perrin was the first bigger name to go out. He left to go to Santa Clara for £300,000. Ivan Macon went to Reims for £275,000. Lucas Gorner Duath went to Leeds United for £2.9 million, rising to £5.75, and Harold Makudi went to Feyenoord for £1.2 million. So £4.7 million bought in, £38 million is our outlay again, so more big money being spent, but we really have tried to strengthen the squad in a lot of places. So the first 2 signings we made were free transfers. Leo Ostergaard was the first person to come in through the doors. You can see he's a solid centre-back, can also be a makeshift right-back or left-back too. So versatility again there was the key. Come in and played quite a few games and did quite well in the first team. Emerson was the next one from Chelsea. He's there in his nice Lyon kit, so a couple of the fans probably wouldn't have been too happy we had a rivals player, but still, he again is solid cover at both left and right back. If we need him to step in, he goes instantly in as our best left back according to the star rating system in the game. Bernd Leno was the next one. 9.75 million we had to pay for him. He was surplus to requirements at Arsenal, so we stepped right up and said, that's fine, we'll take him on. He may be a little bit older than what we would probably be looking for, but when you get a player of this quality, you just do not turn it up. You go and just sign the player and get on with what you're doing. So that was a positive addition to the team. Marko Bulat was the next one. He is a 22-year-old Croatian, a solid midfielder. 16 passing, 12 strength, 15 stamina, 15 agility. He has good vision and work rate and good technique. I think he's going to be a bit of a bargain once we get to the end of the save. 5.25 million from Dinamo. Dominic Yankov was the next one. 5.25 million from Liverpool. Had to haggle with them a little bit to get the price right on this one. We were trying to pay around 3.5 million. They wanted 10 million. We got them to come down to 5, so we got somewhere with the haggling. another decent player who can play on the left or the right, can be a makeshift striker, sorry, midfielder, centre and attacking midfielder. So a number of positions he can come and switch and be versatile. I have done a potential superstars of FM22 on this kid, so we know that he's going to be a standout performer come the end of the 4 years. Florian Miguel was the next one from Nice. Just basically cover for left back again. We are a little bit light in that position, so just wanted to shore up, just so we got rotation with the Champions League and the league competitions. The next player was Hubelong Mendes, 775,000 from Lorient. He was a cover for right back as well. Felt we were a bit short in both of those wing back areas, so wanted to go out and cover those off. Then Datro Fofana was the next player in. Again, I'd not heard of this guy. £5 million we bought him in for, but look at those stats. 17 pace, 18 acceleration, 16 natural fitness, 16 determination, 17 flair, 16 work rate. Dribbling, finishing, first touch, it's all there. It's a no-brainer for the money we paid. Left wing, right wing, play up top. He has been a star in this season, I will tell you that for nothing. The last player through the doors was Fode Ballo Torre. He came from Benfica, but he's there proudly in his AC Milan shirt, so we know he's got a bit of pedigree about him. Comes in, can play as a left back or anywhere up the left-hand side of the pitch, and I think he has been a solid performer too. So that's all the transfer business that we did in Season 3. Was it a success? Was it worth the money? Let's have a look at the competitions tab, and you can see that we have now taken over as champions of France. We have brought Saint-Etienne back into the big time, and we have won that first league title since 1981. Looking at it, it went right to the wire. We won it by a single point. We have improved a lot, I will tell you that much. Champions League hasn't finished, but we've been knocked out of that anyway. Let's have a little look. So Liverpool, Man United are in the final. Where did we get to? Did we get to the quarters? We did. We lost to Manchester City 8-3 on aggregate in the quarterfinals. So a decent Champions League campaign. Again, it's progress. Knockout stages this year. And then we were in the group stage, I think, last year. So every year we're building, the Coupe de France, we lost that title. We were knocked out in the semi-final by Pau FC. But let's go and have a look at this Ligue 1 triumph. Let's break it down and show you what happened then. So our win-loss record, 27 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses, a goal difference of 66. I think Bernardino coming in really made a difference to the defence. We just basically, you can see he's there with the clean sheets of 14. He really shored us up at the back. But looking at the rest of the player stats, nobody on the goals. We have Tati Chong at 7.73 for average ratings. Eze getting the assists now with 13 of those. Chong with 7 player of the matches. Bernardino with 14 clean sheets. And Mr. Ostergaard down there in the naughty boys corner for the yellow cards. So an impressive season that sees us win the league. If we go to our own club info page, no, the home page, you can see our own stats for the season. So Johnny Kenny actually scored 35 goals in his second season at the club. If we go and look at his career stats, I think I might have just unearthed a bit of a gem. I'd never heard of him, honestly, until this save. And there he is, 34 games, 35 goals, 5 of which were penalties, but 7 assists, 7.41 average rating. This kid is absolutely immense. I really had never heard of him. 20 years old. Comes in as a 3-star ability, 4.5-star potential. So absolutely amazing that he's just come in, hit the ground running and scoring goals for fun in the French top division. Chong was our highest average ratings. Most assists come from Andre Anderson across the season. Courtney House had the best pass completion. Then Chong most player of the match awards. Ostergaard most yellow cards. And there were two red cards this time for Palencia and Ostergaard. So then, in terms of the club vision, this is where it kind of went a little bit wrong, because I knew to challenge PSG, we were going to have to abandon the youth system, and we have paid for it. They are devastated about developing players using the club's youth system. We still have the same players being brought through, but it's not having the same effect now because we're not using them. Basically, having to go out and buy big name players and spending big money on players means We just can't do that. But signing players under the age of 23, they're pleased with that. Play high tempo pressing football, they're pleased with that. And now they've started bolting on all of the on pitch stuff. So play attacking football, play possession football, play entertaining football for the next season. 5-year plan then, work within the wage budget, minimum 3-year contracts, spend the original transfer budget now. So I like this coming in as a part of the 5-year plan. We had that in another rebuild. Not 100% sure that they actually mean to tell us to go and spend all the money, but if it's there and they're telling us, we're going to go and do it, which is exactly why we did that. So the objectives for the 5 years then have started to change. Now they want us to qualify for the UEFA Europa League. They want us to reach the Champions League group stages at a minimum. They want to challenge for a domestic cup competition. And then going forwards, they just want to qualify for the Europa League. So not overly ambitious, but considering we're champions of France, it might not happen again. So that is probably a realistic outlook from the board. Going then to the finances, going into season 4, the final season of the save, we have £45.4 million in the bank. 23.7 of that is our transfer budget, and a wage budget now of 1.026 million. We are spending 983,000 with committed spending of 975,000. So we have won the French First Division. Assault on the Champions League would be next. I don't know if it's going to happen because the squad needs a lot of players bolting on, but £23 million is a generous amount to spend. So we're going to actually have a good go at it. Let's show you the starting 11 that the assistant will put out then just before we go. Not too sure why Mr. Chong has popped up here. Assistant report. So our best 11, according to our assistant at the moment then, is Leno in goal, Palencia, Ostergaard, House, Kappa. Then we've got Bullet, Anderson and Yankov, so those 3 midfielders that we signed for the middle of the park. Eze on the left, Chong on the right, and Fofana has actually took his place up top in that AF role. So 1 season to go, we are French champions. Can we have an assault on the Champions League? Can we add anything else to the trophy cabinet? Let's jump into season 4, the finale, and show you what happens as we finish off the rebuild of Saint-Etienne. This is it then, the 4th and final season of the save. As always, we'll show you the transfers, the ins and outs, and all of the business that happened before we show you the results of the season. We again ended up shipping quite a few players out, a few left on freeze. So players like Aymar and Mufek went for nothing. So went to Angers for £850,000. Mabuku went to VTSC for £1.9 million. Shibao went to TP Mazambi on a free, and then Osama Aymar went to Paris FC for £31,000. Sebastian Walkiewicz went to PSV for £13 million, and Komizo Maiga went to Mimosas, nice place to go, on a free transfer. So that means that with £15.75 million coming in, we have spent £35.5 million, and we went about rebuilding parts of the defence that needed shoring up. Obviously, we sold a centre-back, so we needed to buy a centre-back. The midfield was sound, but we needed probably another attacker and maybe another wide player or 2. So we had a look at filling those gaps, and this is what we came up with. So the first player was Abdou Conte. He came from Lorient. He's a left-back or centre-back. I like him more as a centre-back at 6 foot. Strength of 14, tackling of 13, although he is quick with 15 pace, so you can see why he can play both of those roles. We then have Kays Ruiz Atil from Barcelona, another attacking player who can play in a multitude of positions. He has decent pace at 12, acceleration of 14, free kick specialist, passing of 14, technique of 14. Work rate's a little bit low, but he's a French player, so hopefully coming back to France, he will now start to pick that up and develop that as he trains with the first team. I think he'll be a bit of a bargain on a free transfer. Julian John Guerrero is another player who came in from Real Madrid on a free transfer. A solid central midfielder. First touch, free kick taking, passing, vision, work rate, acceleration. It's all there. This really is a player that I would have expected to pay what it says in the top corner for, 43 to 56 million pounds. We got him for absolutely nothing. I think he might be a key player in this last season. We signed Musa Djenepo, the former Southampton player, We needed cover, as I said, for wide left, wide right. Also can play up top, which is a bit of a bonus for us. Passing isn't that great with a 6 for finishing, but he can get in the situations by having 15 pace and 15 acceleration, and can also lay goals on for others, hopefully. Bentaleb was next, a free transfer. No risk on this one at all. Didn't really play any games when he was there, just to be in that rotation of players. Very experienced player. Wanted a cool head in the middle of the park if he was needed. Emre Demir was next, another Barcelona player, £5.25 million, Turkish under-21 international. Absolutely solid. Technique of 16, vision 14, teamwork of 12, pace, acceleration, it's all there. 21 years old, he's only going to get better. If we had signed him a couple of seasons ago, we might have been able to see his development, but I think in terms of going forwards, he could be a very, very good player. And the last player we signed in the save was Sumaila Koulibaly. He was a replacement for the centre-back that we sold, come from Borussia Dortmund. Again, he's a big, strong lad, 6'3", 15 strength, 16 natural fitness, 15 pace, 14 acceleration, sound in the air. Not a lot of players are going to knock him off the ball, and I think he was a really good addition to the team in the second half of the season. So that's the final bit of business done. We are all finished in terms of the transfers. How did we get on? Could we retain the title? Let's hit the competitions tab and have a look. We can indeed. And again, we have won the league by 2 points this time. So a little bit crazy that the 2 league titles that we have won have been a combined 3 points, but it doesn't matter. As long as you get there first, you are going to win the league, and that is what happened. 83 points, 2 points ahead of Paris Saint-Germain. Let's look at the other competitions quickly before going back to the league then. So Champions League, we were knocked out in the first knockout round by Real Madrid, so a tough draw, got out the group stage, but Real Madrid were waiting and too strong. We were knocked out in the 9th round by Montpellier in the Coupe de France, and we were runner-up again in the Trophy Day Champions, which I believe we lost to PSG, so not that important because we won the one that everybody wants. So have a little look at the league table then to round us out. Champions, 83 points, a win-loss draw record of 26 wins, 5 draws, 3 losses, 55 goal difference, and we played some really, really good football across the season to keep PSG at bay. Looking at the player stats then, Datro Fofana getting on there with 21 league goals. That's an impressive amount of goals. Nobody in the average ratings, nobody in the assists for a change. None of the other 2 categories, but again, Sergi Palencia decided to get himself 14 cards across the season. So if we have a little look at this homepage, as always, you can see Datro Fofana was our top goal scorer for the season. He had the highest average ratings. Eze with most assists on 13. Koulibaly, best pass completion. Eze with most match of the awards. Sergi Palencia with most yellow cards and red cards. Chong and Guerrero getting 1 of those each. So a fantastic campaign that sees us finish top of the table, 2 points clear of Paris Saint-Germain, and that means now it's back-to-back titles, and that is something that Saint-Etienne did twice in the 60s and the 70s, and now in the 2020s. So let's have a little look at the club vision and see how we finish. So B+, the board are happy with what we have been doing. We have now managed to turn it around in terms of playing players under the age of 23 for the first team. They are very pleased with that. Play high tempo pressing football, delighted with that. Play attacking, possession and entertaining football. They are good with all of that too. So the 5-year plan going on after we leave would be to work within the wage budget, 3-year contracts for first team players, and spend the transfer budget. Then they want us to qualify for the Europa League, reach the group stage of the Champions League, challenge in domestic cup, qualify for the Champions League, and become recognised as best of the rest. So a little bit of a step down in expectations to want to be known as the best of the rest, considering we've been back-to-back champions now. And I suppose that in the future, Champions League glory is the only thing that could push this club on to further things. In terms of the finances, we leave them with 39 million in the bank, 18 million pounds for the next manager to spend on transfers. That is a decent amount there. If we go to our squad, and the last thing to really show you is the assistant report. So going from what we had in season 1, our new starting best 11 would be Leno in goal, Conte, Ostergaard, Koulibaly, Palencia, then Buller, Yankov and Guerrero, Eze, Fofana and Kenny up top. So again, just to show you Kenny, this guy, he had a little bit of a wobble in this season, but if we look at his career stats now, only played seven overall for the club. That doesn't make sense. So 7 starts, but he played 14 games, scored 5 goals. Still means he has 50 in 118 appearances. He's still got 7.08 average rating and a 7.14 average rating in the league from 5 starts, 9 appearances from the bench. So he has been absolutely fantastic. If you need a striker, go and check out Celtic's B team. I think he was from, was he? Yeah, Celtic's B team, where we paid £6 million. I think he's on loan at Luton in the first season. But if you need a bargain, there is your guy. We paid £6 million, 25 to 28 the valuation now. So last thing to show you then is the club info tab. And let's have a little look at the trophies that we have won along the way then. So 12 Ligue 1 titles now, 24-25 going along with those back-to-backs in 60s, back-to-backs in the 70s. And now we have back-to-backs in the 20s. 7 Coupe de France's, 1 included on there, 2022. We then haven't achieved any of these because we don't play in any of them anymore. And I'm not too sure if this Coupe de Ligue is still played. Maybe it is. It's not clickable, so I'm not too sure if it was played or not. But still, getting those back-to-back championships against the mighty PSG in the French League is no mean feat. And I think that we really have had a successful time in rebuilding Saint-Etienne. We have got them from that top half of the table finish that they wanted. We've got them out of the financial struggles. No longer are they hovering above the relegation zone. Once we leave this save, they could go on, be self-sustainable and continue to challenge PSG for that trophy year in and year out. So I would say this is another successful rebuild. That's another successful rebuild then in the books. We have gone into Saint-Etienne and we have turned them into powerhouses in French football once again, challenging PSG at the top of the league. The 3rd place finish in the first season was fantastic because it showed the club really does have the tools in place to go and challenge. And I think even in real life, as they got relegated in the 21-22 season, they will bounce back and they will be back in the top flight of French football. As for what happened in the save, though, to win the league back-to-back was fantastic. We added another Coupe de France to go with it, and I think that we have done really, really well. Champions League was the only thing that eluded us, but considering we've gone from a mid-table team to winning the league, I think Champions League glory could come further down the line. Right then, if you're still here and you're still listening to me at this point, firstly, very big thank you. Secondly, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, please don't forget to do that. It's really important to the channel. It helps me get these videos out to so many more people. The more eyes on the video, the more content that gets released and the more I get to give back to the community. For this one though, I'm going to wrap it there. Thank you for watching. Go check out one of my other videos on the channel. And if you don't, I'll see you on the next one.